and welcome back to Inspired Expert and User Operations. Today we're going to look at how to create feed reel messages. Now, in the previous lessons, we've looked at how to configure Composer and get it ready to go, import our templates and our players, and we've also looked at how to create a basic message. So you should already know how to create messages in Composer and publish them to your XPert player. Now, in this lesson, we're going to look at how to create feed reel messages. What a feed reel message is essentially the same as a regular message, but it simply draws the pictures, body text, and title text from some other location. It can be a standard message that has image, title, and text, or it can be a calendar. There's different types of feed reel messages depending on what type of message you're wanting to create. But essentially it works the same as the standard messages, but instead of being something you enter into Composer, it's drawing from some external database or external locations such as an RSS feed, from weather data. There's a lot of different types of data feeds that you can use in Inspired Expert and use in Composer, and we'll learn how to incorporate those in this video. Now, where we are now is we are in the Inspired Expert web configurator for the player. And this is where you need to go to set up your data feeds. And you'll need to do this for every player you have that you're wanting to use data feeds on. It's the player itself that is going to be pulling from these external resources, so you want to be sure that you are setting up these data feeds for each player. Now, to create a data feed, you'll want to go here to Data Feeds. But before we can change anything in the web configurator, we need to log in. So click Log In, and enter the username and password, and click Login. Alright, so now that we've logged in, we can go in and enter our data feeds. And so we just go here to Data Feed, and here is our feed configuration screen. And this is where we go to enter our data feeds and adjust the settings. And to get started, we're going to click New Feed, and we're going to start adding a feed. The first thing we'll need to do is set our feed type. And there's all different types of feeds that we can do. What we're going to do right now is we're going to use RSS. And now here we enter the feed name. Now this isn't the path to where the feed is. This is just a name that you're going to give it to use inside Composer. Because you're going to say, I want to link to this news feed. As long as the news feed for each player is set to this feed name, then whatever this feed is for this player will be used inside of the Composer project. For this example, we're going to use CNN. And I click OK. And so I'm going to create a news feed that links to CNN. As long as the feed on each player is called CNN, as long as it has CNN as its feed ID, it's going to work no matter what the URL is here. And it's going to use whatever feed is called CNN. And so then you can have custom content for the different regions, but you only need one message for all your regions. Alright, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to get the URL for the CNN RSS newsfeed. This is the actual RSS feed for CNN.com. And I'm just going to copy that, Control-C, and then go back to my web configurator and paste the URL here in my feed. The other settings I need to set is I can set the chronological order. I'm actually going to do the newest first, and so it'll display the newest item, and then the next oldest item, and then the next oldest item. So whatever it displays first will be the most current news element. And now I can also filter this to display the first 10 news stories, or the first however many news stories. I'm actually going to use 10. I think that's a good number for the first 10 news stories, and just display those. And once you have all the settings set, you want to go ahead and save. And as soon as you save, then it's ready to go, and you can now generate your preview. And I'm going to do that right now. So that's our CNN newsfeed. And we're actually going to leave this up because we'll want to look at it in a moment when we create our feed reels. But before we create our feed reels, I'm going to create one more feed that we're going to use as well. And I'm going to create a new feed here. And I'm actually going to add Yahoo Weather. I'm just going to call this Weather and do OK. And again, because I've called this Weather, in Composer I can create a single message that pulls the feed ID of Weather, and it will be local weather for each system as long as each player is set up to use the weather for its location. Alright, you'll see that the information here is a little different for Yahoo Weather than what we saw for the newsfeed. We don't have to enter the URL here. Instead, what we're wanting is the location. This is actually a location code. This isn't actually the name of the location or the zip code or anything. This is an actual location code that Yahoo Weather uses. And it's going to use that to link back to Yahoo Weather. And it knows all the other information. It has to be Yahoo Weather, and we'll get the information from Yahoo Weather. And as long as you have Yahoo's location code, it'll link back to the Yahoo Weather site and get the weather information for that location. So where you find that is if you go to weather.yahoo.com and then you search for your location. I'm actually going to search for Dallas, Texas, which is where I'm located, in Richardson, which is close to Dallas, Texas. And I get the weather for Dallas. Up here in the address bar, I see United States, Texas, Dallas, then a dash, and then after the dash, I see a number. It's 2388929, and that is the location code for Dallas. So I just want the numbers. I don't need anything else. I just want the numbers, and I'm going to do Control-C. I selected those numbers and pressed Control-C. Then I'm going to go back to my data feed configuration here and click in Location and do Control-V and paste that location code. Now the XPert player is going to use that location code to link back to Yahoo Weather. You want to be sure you set your units to whatever units you use. It defaults to metric, but if you are in the United States, like I am, you want to use imperial. And then the temperature, again, it defaults to Celsius. And then once you set your units and have your location code, then you can click Save. And now we're ready to generate our preview. Alright, so now we see our preview for our weather feed. It's very similar to what we saw for our CNN feed. We have our field tags and then an example of what the records look like. And there's just one record because we don't have multiple items, but we do see what the different information is here. We have the title and then the description and then some dates, and then we even have an image of what the current weather is. And so depending on what you're wanting to display, you can use any of this information for your message. Again, we're just going to leave this open, and then we're going to go back to Composer and start creating our messages. So I just went back, and now we're here in Inspired Composer, and I'm going to go back to the Content Manager, and I'm going to create messages that use the news feed and that use our weather feed. Now I'm going to create a new message, and I'm going to create a message feed for our news feed. Now the news feed, I'm actually going to do a 26:1 ticker for our news feed, and I'm just going to use that title information and display the title for all the different news articles in CNN and to have them scrolling at the bottom. So I want a ticker. And I want a ticker feed reel. And the ticker feed reel is going to have a single data field that displays whatever data I want, and in this case I'm going to use the title of the various news articles. And so ticker, and then I want to be sure it says ticker feed reel template 26:1. I'm going to click Next. And again, the first thing we want to do is we want to change our name. So be sure we set our name to _AMX demo 26:1 CNN news. So that'll be the name of our message, and we'll know the size of it and where we're pulling from and what kind of information we're getting here. Now the next thing we need to enter is our feed ID. Now our feed ID, if you don't remember, let's go back to CNN. The feed ID that we created here was CNN. This is whatever we entered. I called it CNN. I could call it News. I could call it Joe Bob. Whatever I wanted to name it. In this case, I decided to call it CNN. And I want to enter my feed ID, which in my case was CNN. And then I want to enter my ticker message. And my ticker message is whatever feed information I want to put here. So I'm going to go to CNN to show you what I'm talking about. Now I can use any of these field tags to display content there. I can even use a combination of content by using the expression builder. And I'm going to show you how to do that in the weather template. But in this case, I'm just going to use the title to the various news feeds. And I'm just going to use the head T field tag. So I just need to select that. And see how I highlighted the head T field tag? I'm going to highlight that and press Control-C. And I'm going to go back here, and in the ticker message, I'm just going to do Control-V and head T. And all that does is that says, hey, look over here to the player, find CNN, and then go look at the feed that it has set up, and go to the head T tag and pull this data. And so it's going to pull this data and stream this data inside of its ticker. So I'm going to press save, and now I have a ticker. And again, assign it to your resource tools as you need to, and press save. And there we go. We can see our news feed has been created and it's ready to be used. So again, we have one more message that we want to create. We want to create our weather message. So again, we're going to create a message. And at this time, I'm going to do a 10 by 1. A 10 by 1 is similar to the 26 by 1, but it's a little wider. It's got enough information for some subtext. I'm going to use this for our weather feed so then I can display the current weather and all the current conditions. I'm actually going to use this first one here that says image, title, and text feed reel template. Now you need to be sure it says feed reel. Again, if you're going to use a feed reel, it needs to say feed reel in the template or it's not going to work. I'm going to use the image, title, and text. I'm going to press next. And again, similar screen to what we saw. I'm going to adjust the name here. And my feed ID, if you don't remember, let's look back. The feed ID was weather. So I'm going to say the feed ID, weather. And then I have title, body, and editable image. For the image, we'll set the image first because that's easy. We just use this image 1 tag. As you can see here, that's the current conditions. And so I'm just going to do Control C and go back here. And then under editable image, this is saying where am I pulling the image from? And I'm going to say image 1. So that way the image that shows up in the image box will be the graphic for the current weather conditions. And then for body, we can pull from various places in here for what we want to put in that body section, but I'm actually just going to use this body tag here, which displays some basic data about the current conditions and as well as some forecast information. And so I'm just going to copy the body tag, body T, and put that in the body section. Do Control V, and then we got our body. And now for the title, I could just use the title tag, but I'm actually going to put the title and the date. The way you do that is that you go to title, and if you see how I clicked on where it says conditions for Dallas, not the field tag, but the actual record, see how it displayed and showed up in Expression Builder? Well, that's all you have to do. You click on that, and that'll import this tag. You can also just type the tag if you want to, but this is kind of a shortcut. And I'm going to do the head T, and I need to do space. I'm going to say on space. And then I'm going to use the date. So again, I click on the actual record and click and see how date showed up. So now I see the head T tag, space, on, space, and then the date tag. And if you look down here at the example of the resulting value, you can see it says conditions for Dallas, which is the head T, conditions for Dallas, on, space, and then whatever was in the date tag. And so I'm actually going to copy this whole expression and press Control C. And I'm going to go back here. And in my title, I'm going to press Control V. And now it says head T on space date. And that's how I can combine multiple tags at once. So that you have all your settings correct, just press save. Assign it to your resource pools. And then do save. All right, so that's how you create a newsreel. It's pretty simple. It's just a matter of knowing what it's pulling and where it's pulling from and what you need to put where. But as long as you have these feed previews up and you're seeing what your tags are, it's pretty easy and you can create dynamic content this way. And that's how you create a feed reel. And I hope you go in and have some fun and start creating some feed reel messages.